This lad's discussions meme is...
Still, I'm surprised you don't recognize your old home.
If you wish to send us memes, just so you can get a shout out at the start of these videos, be sure to send them to our Twitter handles. Right then, so that's our thoughts on Frieza versus Megatron, and we've kind of delayed on a third topic for a while, people. We do apologise. But after long delays, we're finally going by again. We did a poll saying what do people want for a lad's third topic, and just getting what were the other ones again, if I can find it. Well,
YouTuber versus YouTuber.
Yeah, so
that one.
Yeah, so it was YouTuber versus YouTuber. Do Death Battle haters deserve to be shamed? And changing the conclusions and outcomes of certain Death Battle episodes, which I'll go into more details of what we mean by that. By popular vote, though.
I'll be honest. It's been delayed so long, I forgot what the topic was.
Mate, you forget what things are the next day. You've told us that. That's
so true.
But yes. By popular vote, I think it was by 46%. I'll check on the poll again while we're discussing it. But yes, people wanted us to discuss what Death Battle endings or outcomes will be changed. Now, what do we mean by that? Do we mean like completely rewrite an episode to have our preferred character win? No, we're not petty like that. What we mean is like, I guess we could even mention like the latest episode. Also, I'm just checking it now. Jesus Christ, 60% for changing Death Battle conclusions. 24% for do Death Battles deserve to be shamed, and 16% for YouTuber versus YouTuber. So, what do we mean by changing conclusions? Well, given the latest episode, in fact, although I guess it's more the beginning, so that doesn't really count. We mean like, is there an episode we might think would end differently, and how would we describe it? An episode that we agree with, its explanation was shit, or an explanation we think didn't get enough details.
Or, like, rework the end of the fight.
Oh, yeah, that as well. So...
I have a big one for that.
So...
I have one for the deeper explanation.
Yeah, so... I'll throw in my hat into mostly just 3 fights. So the first one is this one. I'll change the fight ending, and that is I'm not, again, I'm kind of in the minority with this episode, so people please be understanding. Guts versus Dimitri. Yeah, in my reaction,
you're still on that.
Look, I'm not pissed off with it.
You had to apologize for that ending with the episode after that.
Okay, the ending after it was pretty shit with that episode, but it doesn't change my opinion on it. So, I've already given some details about why I didn't like it. I felt as though it was rushed. I do still hold my ground that it was a good fake out. We can't dispute that. I don't think we've had a good fake out like that since Madara versus Aizen. Like, there's been very few fights where I'm like, oh my god, this person's gonna win. So, what's my issue with this in a nutshell? One, I think it ended too comedically. Like, Guts rises again, slashes the spear in half, and immediately stops. And he's just standing there. That, to me, just feels really underwhelming. I like the...
Well, that's just because you have your head in the gutter.
Well, your face will be in the gutter in a minute. Although you have a sword, so I don't like my chances. But my main problem is that it feels like Guts as a character...
I also have gauntlets that work like Iron Man.
Shut the fuck up.
So... do you want me to bring out Gollum, Bill? Yeah, so... But my main issue with it is that it just feels like Guts deserves a way more honourable death. Now, the idea of Dimitri... Like, here's the thing. the concept and the idea of the death is brilliant. The idea Dimitri is surprised because Guts is still fighting, but Guts bleeds out just the last moment. And then Dimitri goes to fight on in memory of Guts. That's a really good way to end it. I do love those type of respectful endings. But the idea of him just immediately stopping with his sword like that, just looking at the ground with his eyes faded out, and even if you just look at his expression, he doesn't look determined. He just looks like, alright, I'm done. Rate me 5-star on Yelp.
Well, he's dead. What expression do you think he's gonna have?
Guts should at least have.
Do you have like a sick "I'm going to kill you" expression when you're dead?
No, but the idea.
No, you're gonna have a blank expression. You're not there anymore.
Also, you can get to that as Havoc, for Christ's
Oh
sake.
yeah, we're gonna apply logic in anime, sure. I see the double.
Well, I mean,
standard.
what would you rather have? What would you rather have? Guts's dead body like flop down on Dimitri like a freaking rag doll? Because if you want logic, that's probably what would have happened.
I would have preferred, one, he still had that determination in his face, and two, maybe he clashed against his spear, and then but slowly Dimitri's realizing he's overpowering him, and that's when Guts falls to his knees and just puts his sword down, and he's still trying to fight, but then he realizes he's passed on, so he's kneeling. I like that idea. And then as
How do you realize that you're dead?
Like, maybe he's still trying to fight on, but his body's just, he realizes he's just not, he doesn't have the strength. But before he falls down, Dimitri catches him and lays him down, giving him like a knight sort of death. And that's when he sees the demon, and that's when he says, I will not let you have his soul. And then you have the shot of him laying like down with his sword on him, like giving like a dramatic knight death. Because I feel like that's a death that's deserving for someone like Guts. I'm not saying I disagree with like the outcome. No, after hearing the explanation, which was explained way better than what Purple tried to do, but we tease each other about that all the time. No, we tease each other about that all the time with private messages. We're still like insulting each other over it. I just feel as though Guts just did not get a proper respectful death. Like, I feel as though the idea of it is good, execution just not perfectly executed, if you know what I mean.
I don't know how like death while still standing is not badass to you.
It's just how it's shot and just how abrupt it ends. It's a good fake out.
I think Bill's like the only person I've seen that doesn't like the death of Guts Dimitri.
Well, other reactions I've seen of some people are just confused.
Well, that's a different story.
I think that's just the whole like abruptness of it. And it might take like another watch or like just a minute for people to realize it, like I did. And then people pointed it out in the comments anyway.
You're still bitter about that. Sometimes, mate, you just gotta realize people watch your reaction just at the fight.
People are...
I mean, obviously with you guys, I always watch your videos all the way to the end because I want to give you guys the views. But most common people... Okay, now I'm insulting them. Most common viewers mostly skip towards the fight for reactions. Like, if you were to go back to some of your older videos and look at most viewed, you might see that most people go to the fight reaction over the analysis. It's sad.
Or the next time reaction.
Yeah.
Well, I do it too, so I'm not even like... That's not the part I'm calling out.
Yeah. Personally, I think people should also watch the analysis because you might get funny reactions to certain jokes. Like, I try and shorten my reactions to show the highlights because there are some bits where I'm just silent. It's like, nothing funny happened there, nothing funny happened now. So let me cut that out. But anyway, getting off topic.
Well, most common reaction videos just kind of ignore a lot of the analysis anyway.
Yeah, because most people are
Even when it's
fine.
even when it's right in their face. Like I in good conscience, I can't watch a lot of reactions to Guts versus Dimitri because like people just like go tone deaf on Dimitri's analysis, and then they get like super confused why you won. And I'm like, wow, maybe if you paid attention, maybe you would actually learn something. But no, of course not.
I'm surprised.
Have
I'm surprised people don't pay attention to Dimitri because honestly, I still can't get over him just walking through those magic attacks. It just shrugs them off. He is so hardcore. I might be a Fire Emblem fan. Who knows? But
Or at least a Dimitri fan.
the other
Nope, because Fire Emblem fans hate Fire Emblem.
well,
And for the love of God, I wish I was joking.
the other okay, so I've given my thoughts about that fight, and look, people, I've heard your arguments. I'm not disputing it. If you like this ending, that's fine. It's the same with me with movies, video games. If you like it or don't like it, I might sound harsh. I don't care. You're valid to have it, and I will hear your arguments. But at the end of it, if I just don't agree with it, then sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes you just can't win against. You can't convince someone of their opinion on stuff. And that's my take on this fight. Like, I love the fight, but I will always stand by it deserved a better ending. But in terms of like a fight,
I'm just saying, Guts got the Whitebeard treatment, and I'm not even a One Piece fan.
The other explanation, well, not explanation. So moving on to a fight that I think is correct, and I thought the ending was good. Did not get explained well, and that is actually another somewhat recent episode: Harley Quinn versus Jinx.
Okay, I can understand that.
Now, I didn't think this at first when I watched it. I thought, no, I agree with all these things. It wasn't until I spoke to one of my friends, Yang the Insane, who, you may be surprised, is a big League of Legends and a big DC fan. I only got into I haven't even got into League of Legends.
Audible gasp.
I've only listened to, well, not in listen, I watched Arcane. I've heard there's meant to be a League of Legends fighting game coming out soon, which I'm hyped for that. Now, after hearing her explanation, like with certain things, I can kind of agree that there's some aspects of Jinx winning I don't agree with. Like, for instance, I don't believe she would be able to resist the Joker Venom. Like, if characters like Superman, Martian Manhunter, all these other powerful characters have shown they could be affected by it, Jinx should also be affected by it, because don't they say, oh, she's immune to poison? That's technically not true. And I do think that, but I think they focused on that too much after rewatching it. I think if they focused on the other stuff, like, yeah, durability, yeah, Jinx fucking has that, man. Like, I've seen the clip where she gets battered by that guy that shakes mountains. It's like, yeah, if she could tank something like that, I definitely agree she could survive anything that Harley throws at her.
They do say in a tab that if all else fails, Jinx does have a gas mask.
Yeah, admittedly though, that is a random item
Plus the Quicksilver sash, which just
it's not even in the game. It's not even in the game. It was in one scene of Arcane.
The gas mask was in related media. The sash is something you can buy.
Well, the other thing about the Joker Venom is it doesn't have to just be used as gas. It can actually be used as like a poison that you can jab into an opponent, which the Joker has used. So
with the speed gap between the two, I highly doubt that Harley could have landed that kind of shot.
Yeah,
plus the fact that Jinx can teleport with a tablet.
Yeah, I'm not disputing. Yeah, I still agree Jinx wins. But the whole poison thing, I think, should not have been the main focus. Like, yeah, the Joker Venom is clearly a superior poison. If she was hit by that, Jinx would die. So they should have really focused more on Jinx's fighting capabilities. Well, even then, I'll still say Harley Quinn's a better physical fighter because she was trained by Batman. So, because you know that's smart.
I think I remember hearing in a video recently, like, because they brought up she grew up in the toxic environment of slum. I think what they meant by that was because she's been exposed to toxins so long, she'd be able to, like, I don't know, just buy enough time to just use the Quicksilver sash to just, like, end the effects, which is what the item does.
I think they went into more detail with how potent the Zontoxin is, it would have been better.
Yeah, but I think because they try and compare the two, I think if you just go by what the Joker Venom has affected or who it's affected, then I don't think that should be considered a main factor. I still think.
Well, let me ask you this: what poisons and toxin resistances do characters like Superman and Martian Manhunter have?
No, it's a good question. I haven't actually thought that.
See, there you go.
I would imagine, given Superman's like immunity to a lot of poisons from like other species and stuff like that, that he should. Like, I think logically, with how powerful Superman is, he should be able to resist the Joker venom. I mean, he might do now. Like, this was like years ago when he was affected by it. But it's someone like Wonder Woman who still canonically can be affected by the Joker venom. I don't think you could put Jinx on the same level as Wonder Woman. It's just a thing as well. Like, they really wanted. It's like they try to say, like, oh yeah, she could resist the toxins. Like, just because she's lived in an environment with, like, here's an example. I lived in London years ago. Do you know how toxic our area is over there? Like, it's just not really something you could say, oh, that's a durability or that's a resistance. It's like, well, no, I'm pretty sure if I stayed in London a few years later, I probably would have lung cancer. So it's just one of those things where I think they just heavily relied on that explanation to just... In fact, to be fair though, I don't think Harley Quinn should have the Joker venom. It's not a reoccurring thing she uses. She used it in like 2 comic books. That was it. That's the equivalent of saying, oh, Batman has heat vision, because there was a few times where he switched powers to Superman. It's like, no, that was just a one-time thing. I think they just wanted to give her something that might throw people off, to be like, oh, the Joker venom, that's actually really deadly. But then they kind of undersell it. I think that's my only real issue with that. So I'd say maybe not heavily focus on that as a stand-up point for Jinx. Is all I'm saying. Other than that, though, I think the episode's still good. Probably one of the best premieres Death Battle I've had. I think I ranked it as number 4 on my list. It's been a while.
I mean, it's easily like podium alongside Yoda v King Mickey and Dante Bayo.
Yeah, it's a really good episode. It still has a kick-ass soundtrack. People don't like the soundtrack, but hey, I'm pretty sure they're the same people that says Guts versus Dimitri had a good death. So you know, what do they matter?
Pretty sure that last part is everybody but you.
Exactly.
Brobuscus, I could perma-ban you if I have to.
You know, that would just prove his point.
I freaking dare you. All of that would do is prove my point.
What a dick. Hang on.
Can I actually invite him?
So Brobuscus wins.
Shit. Can I actually invite him back on? Shit.
I got him.
Okay, we can. I will admit, Brobuscus, as funny as that was, I was starting to panic. I was like, wait, can I even put him back on?
Smoking because he won.
Yep.
I mean, I can easily just cut this part out. I have the power.
It's literally just like the Vegeta TN in a bridge. Why do you tease him like that? You know he could kill you.
So,
At this point, it's a game. If he gives in,
Jokes on you, Billy. I've been recording this whole time.
Shit. He's got leverage. I mean, with AI, I could just say you're using an AI bill. Yeah. Didn't think about that, did you?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, well, jokes aside, though, since I've gone on for a bit for these 2 episodes, I think I'll give this to you only, mate, because I think I've said my piece about changing outcomes. Those would be the 2 that I think kind of bother me the most. Like, if I was to go back to season 1, that's just easy pickings, because, yeah, a lot of the explanations were questionable.
What about season 2?
No, season 2 I also think is a bit... I mean, if I guess funny enough, the other episode would say is Guts versus Nightmare. While I still agree with the outcome, how they explained with Guts winning is stupid. I do agree that needs a better explanation. But aside that, I've said my piece. So, mate, what episodes what conclusions would you sort of change?
Alright. I have the Death Battle cast on the side, and
Yeah, so do I.
That's why I muted, yeah.
I just
Okay.
saw one of them. I'll get to it later.
So the first one is a season 2 episode, and I mean just in terms of the end of the fight. And even the crew have said that, yeah, they would do it differently. Charizard versus Greymon.
Really?
Like,
Season 2 finale.
yeah, that was a bit much. They didn't need to go that far.
Okay, what do you mean by go that far? Because compared to other deaths, even some modern ones, that death is
he means
actually
like getting rid of red, like disintegrating red and everything.
Well, there's also just like stabbing Charizard, like all the blood, and just with how far they went, the crew have even said like that was a mistake.
How's that a mistake? Like, the whole point of a death battle is you're meant to have those oh shit death moments. You don't want like a shit one.
Yeah, but sometimes with certain characters it can be a bit far.
Okay then, do you have the same opinion with Renamon? Because she got stabbed in the throat and she was bleeding, even though Digimon don't canonically bleed. Fun fact.
I do now that you said it.
Yeah, like Digimon don't actually bleed, yet they had Renamon get impaled, choking, Lucario staring her down, or it, because apparently Digimon don't have genders, though that begs to a lot of questions with Rosemon, just saying.
Honestly, yeah, with that, they probably could have just used Aura Storm from Smash.
Oh.
And just have that be the finishing blow.
Okay, well, do you know what? I'll challenge this, mate. Okay, so you would change that death. How would you change Charizard's death? Because I will say that is a good death, so you got to make it
The
big.
Terra Storm part I would keep, it's just the build up to it.
So, okay, but how would you change it? Because the Terra Storm is like, you can't just, like, wait there. Like, it takes a bit to power up.
Yeah. Oh, and another part I would probably change is after Tide punches red and Charizard just stands there like, what?
Yeah, they did Charizard dirty.
Yeah, like, it probably would have made more sense if Charizard, like, got mad and tried to attack Tai. Then Wargreymon, like, attacks Charizard, like, throws him to red, and then they do the Terra Storm. Just minus, like, with how bloody that was.
I don't agree with that. That just kind of feels like making a weak death. Plus, the whole idea of, like... I think this also goes into that explanation, which I still think is... In animation, they did do it dirty, I do agree. It's the idea that how Digimon are different from Pokemon. When Pokemon don't get their instructions, they do get a bit confused and they're not sure what to do because they rely on their trainer, whereas Digimon can fight without the command of their tamers. It's even the same in the games. Like, if obviously, gameplay-wise, you should give them commands, otherwise they'll suck. But you can just let them try and win a fight. It's not recommended, of course.
Then there's the anime when Pokemon act on their own as well.
All I'm just gonna say on this episode is that the way they handle Pokemon frustrates the hell out of me.
I can understand that.
The relationship is one of master and slave. Like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's...
yeah, like...
The wording is not great, but...
I just, like, rewatch. I rewatched that episode for a video I was going to do, and it just made me realize... It made me realize, like, did they really, like, know what they were doing when they were researching Pokemon?
To be fair, though, mate has bragged about this. He has a HM slave in our randomizer, so... Is it inaccurate?
That's just a dumb name.
It still uses slave, I'm just saying. I'll be honest, I agree with, like, the other parts you mentioned, mate. Like, the slave beer and also the Charizard just going all dumb. It's like, yeah, looking back on it, that is a bit stupid. But that doesn't mean I would change up the death, because you're meant to have that shock value. Like, if you look at reactions, how people drastically go, like, oh my god, like, and it's like, oh shit. Because that's the thing about Digimon as well, mate. Digimon's known for being brutal. Like, Digimon go Dragon Ball sometimes. Characters get their arms ripped off. They get their faces caved in. So, it's kind of like saying, oh, does this mean we don't have the Mortal Kombat characters brutalize the Street Fighter characters? Because the other side's not as violent?
Well, the question is Digimon known for being, like, crazy, grotesque, and violent?
Oh yeah, it is. It can be quite violent at times. Like,
it can be, but is it known for being that?
If you go by games, no, but anime, which is what people recommend with Digimon, including myself, because animes are always the go-to. There's only like 2 Digimon games I really like, but that's obviously childhood bias. If I go back to it now, I might hate it. But yeah, Digimon in the anime, characters get so brutalized, it is unreal. One character got his tusk ripped off and shoved into his forehead. another guy screams in agony as he's disintegrated. You see, like, even though you don't see flesh, you see the digit, like the digital data, which to Digimon, that's their, like, underskin. It's brutal. They're screaming in agony as they disintegrate. Even in the new Pokemon, you see Paratamon, when he's fighting War Greymon, he gets hit by the Terror Storm, and he's screaming or howling. Squawking? Yeah, I guess squawking, he's a parrot. And he's just fully getting disintegrated. Like, and you just see, like, his armor get pulled out and just turn to ash. And even with Impalement, like, when Black War Greymon got stabbed, you see this, like, the blade going through his chest. Like, my main point is saying, like, do you just make it child-friendly just for the sake of so Pokemon have a more child-friendly death, but then... Because Digimon are known for brutality. Like, that's my main question.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, the impalement, you could probably keep, like, just that, and then the disintegration.
What about Red's death? Like, him getting crushed by Charizard then?
I mean, he'd still get disintegrated at the end of the day anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, do you just have it so, like, he just sees Charizard and then gets disintegrated? Or do you have it so Charizard's only disintegrated?
You could have Red, like, get up and, like, try to comfort Charizard, or, like, try to keep, like basically, like, holding him in his arms or something, like, asking, like, you okay?
That's even worse. That's actually kind of more sad.
Actually,
worse than having a 10-year-old get his legs broken.
It's Red, though.
And then disintegrating.
Red deserves it. Hashtag Red deserves it.
How does he deserve it?
He's a piece of shit child. I'll say that right here. Red's a piece of shit trainer. Like, he's a horrible person. He tried to steal a kid's Pokemon in the anime.
Well, you didn't know what he was doing.
Well, he still tried to do it. That doesn't change it.
Also, I'm just going to throw this out there. That's actually similar to an idea Chad was trying to push, but then they were like, no, that's too much. Where
I'm not saying go that far.
Sean, I saw that. Just because I say don't disturb doesn't mean I can't see that shit.
I'm non-verbally contributing.
The point is that is an ending that could have been done differently, and the reason it came out like that is because Torian took a whole bunch of joke endings seriously and just compiled them all together. They've said in the past, like, had we seen what that was, we would have done it differently.
Pussy holes.
The live broadcast, when it was shown off, was the first time most of the crew saw it. So it was too late to change anything.
Okay, but then they still did the Renamon versus Lucario death. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying it's a double standard, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's shit too. What's your point?
No, that was regardless of how I feel about the blood thing, it's still a hardcore death, and I love it.
It was also just really abrupt.
It was cool. But anyway,
now I'm just remembering that
anyway.
Now I'm just remembering that Lucario versus Renamon could have been amazing if it wasn't cut short. And now I'm sad.
Yeah, it was still just an okay episode. The Defto saved it for me.
Anyway, so aside from that, I've said this before, and it's kind of a dead horse at this point, I know, but in terms of end explanations, yeah, I would change Ben 10 versus Green Lantern.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
That was one of my...
As someone who will like say that, like, yeah, Green Lantern wins 100% even before the episode came out. Yeah, Green
Lantern does win.
Yeah, I've been saying that Green Lantern wins from day one, and even I'll tell you, like, yeah, they definitely should have explained that better.
Yeah, especially that line, just like, Celestial Sapiens are powerful, but they can be beaten and have failed in the past. You could say that about Green Lanterns.
That is true.
And I think the way they could have done it is, if Alien X is the only way Ben can win, that's still not more times than not. If Ben were to win, most of his aliens would have to overpower Hal.
Yeah, I do agree with the whole explanation. If we had to say which alien would give Green Lantern a run for his money, yeah, Alien X. That should have been the main argument, which it kind of was, but it was kind of overshadowed quickly by that dumb quote.
Yeah, that's another aspect. Maybe Ben go out.
None of Ben's And none of Ben's other aliens would have held a candle to Hal aside from Alien X.
I don't know. I feel like Grey Matter would win.
No.
Oh my god, you know what? I just had a childhood flashback. So, years ago, Ben 10 had an advertisement website advertising their toys and games. They had, at the time, just when Ben only had like 11 aliens, like Cannonball when he was introduced. So they did a poll. Cannonball, yeah. So they did like a poll on like which it was like a death battle. They voted on who would win between who. They did Grey Matter versus Cannonbolt, and Grey Matter won by 80%.
Well, that's bullshit.
I know. I have no idea. Overall, the overall winner was Accelerate. He won the majority of, if we count all 10 aliens. Or 11, I guess.
It's like with Storm versus Wonder Woman all over again.
Yeah. Let's be real here. Most of the common viewers aren't the best go-to for sources.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, to a similar vein with Ben 10 vs. Green Lantern, I think I'd also change just a little bit of Flash versus Sonic.
Okay, now I'm definitely curious.
No, it's just
bit.
It's specifically just that line of just, well, yeah, looking at this feat this way is impressive, but Sonic's been knocked out by far less.
That's
like,
that's a fair
there
argument.
lesser? Yeah, but aren't there other feats that you could bring up for Flash to say like, well, he was taken out by this?
I don't know.
Not really,
So,
but why?
I was going to actually say, mate, can you bring up a point like that?
I don't, because I don't read comics.
There you go, then. Case
I think
closed.
that's the thing I wish they would have changed because John Mitchell had to explain the ending of the animation. I think if they could have changed that somehow, it would have been better. If Wally just
I mean,
wanted
it's
through time.
it's pretty clear once you like know what's going on, but the fact that you have to like go through a rewatch to understand it can be considered a negative.
Yeah, I think that sort of...
Yeah.
I can understand it, but I think if you brought up like a counterpoint like, oh, well, Wally's been knocked out by Batman at one point, it's like, that's actually a fair point. But they even show evidence that, oh yeah, Archie Sonic has been knocked out by lesser powerful beings and of course lesser type of weaponry. So it's actually a good, that's actually a good argument. It's like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense.
Plus, they did make the comparison anyway, so like whatever.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Right then, should we leave it at that for you, mate? 'Cause, I did just get a text, my dinner's ready, and we're nearly at the 3-hour mark, so, Sean, do you have some
Yeah, I was
episodes?
actually just gonna say that and then bring up the whole, like... But they went the higher end thing anyway.
So, Shawnee, because there was an episode you really want... Well, one of them got taken by Mate, so what other one did you want to talk about?
Gar versus Toph. I still can't get over that. Its end analysis for why Toph won, I don't think is that good.
It's not. It's pretty bad. At the time when I saw that, like, obviously, people know me. I disagree with some episodes, but I quickly go, the episode was entertaining enough, so I forgive it. I still say Gara vs. Toph is a fun...
Yeah.
It's a fun episode. The fight is really good. The voice acting was top-notch, despite what a certain YouTuber tried to say about Toph years ago, but less said about that.
Let's not go into that.
But obviously, if you say, oh, what about the explanation?
I'm not...
What about the outcome and the, like,
Sorry.
explanation? I'm like, no, it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
I do find it funny how Gara went from, this is sacred ground, a minute later, destroys the whole place.
Isn't that just, like, hero death battles in general? Batman's trying to defend, like, the Justice League Watchtower. He uses it and destroys it against Iron Man. I don't know, I've always kind of liked those little gags.
It's just like
At least with that one, they tried to give some sort of like explanation for why that happened.
Yeah, like, it's been hacked, so it's basically already
Emphasis
gone.
on try.
And plus,
it's just
Batman's
ending
rich.
analysis for Gar versus Toph is not that good. Like, even going back to it, like, I do think that it should have been changed in some way. Like, if I think that one of the things they said was like Toph can sense it in the air, and it was stated in a DVD bonus feature.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even then, though, it's like, okay, then. Gara can still move.
Well,
the sand.
there is also proof of it in the show. So like,
Yeah, like
I think that's what I mean. If they showed the proof from the show and not just say it was from a DVD
They did.
bonus feature.
they showed the clip where it pops up.
I don't actually recall that.
Exactly.
it was during like her first episode. Like some guy like jumped up in the air, threw rocks at her, and she was still able to like reflect them.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's been a long time since I've watched that episode, so maybe if I go back to see it.
And the reasoning for that episode was not that great to this day. I know some people said like the outcome can change and everything, but I think overall
It's funny because like the explanation for that goes into like a lot of points that are like admittedly in that you could argue that is in Toph's favor, sure. But what they don't go into is who is stronger or faster or tougher. And if he did that, then oof, Gara Gara did just straight up like block a bomb that would have destroyed an entire village. So like, why?
To add more salt into the wound, this episode came out nearing the end of the Madara arc. Just saying.
yeah. Overall, Gar vs. Toph is still like kind of gets to me every now and then when people talk about like least favorite episodes. Like, it's not my least favorite of all time, but it's up there.
No, haven't you actually gone back to say maybe you were too harsh on it? Or was that another topic?
I don't think I've said I was too harsh on Gar Toph. It's just its ending analysis could have been better if they broke down like some math proving that Toph was strong enough to break through Gar's durability. Would have been better.
If I can add another thing to Garatov, I think the ending is kind of shit. Because like Chris Guerrero gives off the most like visceral death scream you'll ever hear from him, and his death is off screen. Like, wow, all that effort was for freaking nothing.
It's also the comedic, like, the generic green screen blood effect they put into it.
Yeah.
But then you see the corpse, it's like, why did you explode into blood if you're still technically there?
I don't know. That's just me.
I still say the fight is fun to watch. And I can say that as a Naruto fan, despite how I disagree with it. I still think it's fun.
I still like the hype comeback that Toph has at the end.
Yeah, Toph is still sassy, and I love it.
Oh, I went on to watch Avatar, and Toph became my favorite character.
She's everyone's favorite.
Yeah, she's
character.
great.
Right.
Well, it's her or Uncle Iroh.
Or Zuko.
Or Cabbage Man.
Yeah.
I think it's about time I pass it on to Brobuscus.
So, you've been building it up,
look.
Brobuscus.
Well, okay, just a quick one, because this is one I would like change the ending, and this one I would change like one thing. It's Aang versus Edward Elric.
Interesting.
And I would change one thing, and I would change one thing and one thing only. Get rid of or change Aang's line of "You left me no choice."
Yeah.
Because that implies that a blonde, red-coated alchemist who just got pissed off at Aang, not even calling him short, but that's just what he interpreted it as because reasons, is more of a threat to Aang and the world than a literal, like, tyrannical warlord
Fire
that controls
basically.
Yeah, Fire Hitler, basically. Like, that implies that Ed is a bigger threat to him and the world than Ozai, which just does not make any sense.
Do you think they should have gone like
So
the Dan Hibiki versus Hercule route, where he accidentally killed him?
Yeah, that would, or alternatively, if they just had to have Aang be the one to do it, just like either have him say nothing or just have him say like "I'm sorry" or something.
I think "I'm sorry" would have been better to hear.
But just saying you left me no choice has a lot of implications that just make no sense, and like pretty much like bastardizes Aang's character when they were doing decently with him otherwise.
Yeah.
So
I'll go with what you guys are saying, 'cause obviously I still have yet to actually watch Last Airbender. I've only seen Legend of Korra. Good show. So I'm just going to assume I agree. Because the Aang in Legend of Korra is so different because he's more mature, so it's like...
yeah,
I'm not sure how young Aang would... Because obviously that's the one they wanted to go with, because...
you need to watch Last Airbender. That's not a suggestion. That is a command.
Jesus, first Turok was
Agreed.
First Turok was threatening me during the edit, and now Brobuscus is.
Anyways, the one I alluded to earlier, it's one where like I agree with the results and I like the ending. I don't like the explanation. It is a very recent episode, actually. It is Vader versus Obito.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So far, that's my number one, so I'm curious.
Its reasoning isn't that strong.
Now, I will say, like, I say this as someone who was on Vader's side during the lead up, and someone who wanted him to win. So I admit that a lot of it is just like me having it, like, as someone who was debating for Vader during the lead up, it had a lot of questions like that I had. Like, if you were to tell me that Obito wins, I would have questions for you, but I would hear you out, you know. And the explanation just left questions that I had that weren't answered. Like, I think they should have, like, okay, for one, I think they should have made a comparison between Vader and base form Obito. Because they mentioned, one of the things they mentioned for Obito was that he would be incredibly hard to hit with Kamui. This is true in his base form, because as his Jinchuriki form, he loses that intangibility. So Vader has every opportunity to hit him, and they have said that in that form, at least, Vader and Obito would be even in power and speed. Okay, fair enough. So, but then, like, as in his base form, Vader, without Kamui, Vader would have, like, dumpstered on Obito.
I disagree with that. So, of course, they even mentioned the fact they, like, Kamui dimension. All Obito needs is just to put him in there, and unless Vader can immediately detect
okay, but
where that is coming from.
But Vader's speed is crazy. Vader's speed would be way higher. That's the problem. Like, Vader could just avoid Kamui, and that's not even getting into the Force.
Okay, that's if we go with Anakin Skywalker, because Vader's not as fast as people would
Nope, that's his Vader.
Nah.
Nope, that's his Vader. I'm not arguing that. That's his Vader. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna make the argument about Kamui, then you need to say, like, okay, so cool, Obito is hard to touch. Cool. Now tell me how Obito could do any sort of damage to Vader, because again, as in his base form, Obito's not doing anything to him. Vader's too fast and he's too strong.
Just tear out his soul. Or even better, he could just do his technique where as soon as he touches, he could just impale him, and Vader can't survive an impalement. Like, at least not as much as, like, Obito delivered to all those ninjas when he first gained his powers.
In one of the comics, didn't he kill, like, a clone of Darth Maul by impaling himself?
He impaled his robotic part. But even then, like, again, if we were to go by, like, the Kenshiro versus Jotaro logic, okay, sure, Vader could try and go for an instant kill, but at the same time, you have to apply that logic to Obito as well. And all Obito could, if he was not taking Vader seriously at all, and obviously for the fight's sake, it would be boring to end this way, he could just go intangible, just run up to him, get close to the point he would just impale him through the chest, and then while he's injured, just send him into the Kamui dimension, just let him just die. Obviously, though, that would be a boring way for Vader to go.
Vader would avoid him, but okay.
If he's intangible, though, what's he gonna do?
What's Obito gonna do? Like,
again, he could just get close because Vader couldn't hit him then.
When did this turn into Vader versus Obito 2?
I know, right?
Anyways, whatever. I will admit I didn't know about the 10 tails giving Obito an unlimited supply, so okay, I'll take the L on that. But then they mentioned that Vader having a preference for lightsaber combat would mean he'd get up close, which would leave him vulnerable to the truth-seeking orbs. I will agree that if Vader does get hit by the truth-seeking orbs, then we'll have a problem. But Vader has barriers that can block the orbs, and I know the researchers have also said that that is true. The point they were trying to make was that Obito, both of them had win conditions that were about equally likely. It's just that Obito had more of them, and that's why he won. And that makes sense to me. I just wish the recap would have. I just wish the recap would have gone over a lot of both of their counters to some of their stuff. Obito could disintegrate Vader with the truth-seeking orbs. Vader could block the truth-seeking orbs with the force barriers, or just straight up lightsaber.
I think the force barrier I don't think is a strong comparison, because the truth-seeking orbs do ignore durability, or even force field. The only way you can avoid them is literally dodging them. Plus, not only that, as Obito did in the fight, he could just surprise it. At first it gets pushed away, but then it just came back around, and when Vader realized it, it's already struck his arm.
Okay, sweet. I wish they went into that.
No, but I can actually hear what you're saying. Okay, I still say it's my favorite at the moment, but yeah, maybe explain them more. I think because they went into such details with Obi-Wan and Kakashi, because when Obi-Wan versus Kakashi happened, I saw a lot of people in the comments and reactors saying Kakashi being so shocked that Obi-Wan won, so they went into so much detail explaining look people, Jedi are stupid overpowered. But then they don't do that for Darth Vader versus Obito, which is kind of Obi-Wan versus Kakashi too.
Yeah, I'm just saying, everything you've brought up, okay, cool, fair enough. I wish the episode brought it up.
I think they did,
and that's my problem.
And I have my question about the fight.
Okay, you say it, then I'll bring up my point.
Okay, so for Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Boba Fett, they use legends primarily.
Yeah.
Why did they suddenly not do that for Vader?
They did. That's what the Ewok thing is. That's legends.
Oh, that is? Oh, okay.
Mate, you lied to me for 2 months. You're 2 months. You
so many people don't. So many people think that they didn't use legends, and I just think they weren't paying attention.
Mate, you lied to me. I trusted
I don't know what's legends and what isn't. I'm just here. Oh, we're using legends. Okay.
I might as well use this GIF just because
the Lost Media thing, that Lost Ewoks thing, the Sun Star or whatever it was. Yeah, that's legends.
Okay.
I never actually saw that cartoon, but when they brought it up, I was just like, that's a thing. But at the same time, there's an animated show about C-3PO and R2-D2. I'm not even kidding. I saw it on Disney Plus, and I had a nostalgia trip. It's so cheesy.
So in short, it's just you wish they added more onto that analysis in detail.
Yeah.
I think why I'm not as bothered by it, because obviously I grew up with both Naruto and Star Wars, so because the things you mentioned, they did mention it, but I think kind of similar with another episode we discussed here, because it was so brief and just so quick, most people who aren't into these characters won't really have to, whereas I know Darth Vader well, I know Obito well, so I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense, yeah, I can understand that. Someone who doesn't go into that much detail, like Brobuscus and everyone else, might think otherwise. Because it's like, hold on,
Excuse me?
Well, I mean, you know more about Darth Vader, I assume.
Yeah, and my problem with this episode is the explanations they don't have for Darth Vader.
No, what I mean is because the counters, they were brief about it, but since you're not familiar with Naruto, then you wouldn't my logic is basically saying because they went brief on this, I didn't need a long explanation because I can agree with these sort of things. But of course, you still needed a bit more with certain contexts. But I think he browsed.
I know enough about Naruto to pronounce it right.
You say that.
Damn.
You're gonna. How many people have you pissed off calling it Naruto?
It's my
Gonna
accent.
need to stand you for that one.
But that's my mate. That's how you would say it in England. So don't question. Are you making fun of my accent, Brobuscus? That's all I'm asking.
Maybe.
I'm starting to think we're going to get counter Brobuscus. The fact mate chimed in on that, it's like, mate, that's how we would say it. We're British. It's how it's
I just
spelled.
saw the opportunity for a DBZA quote.
Yeah, you saw an opportunity to rip me a new one. That's all I saw. But I can see what you mean, Brobuscus. Like, I guess from like someone who's not familiar with Naruto, I could see it. I still think the episode explained a lot of things pretty well, but that's just me. So I think that.
I can understand where Brobuscus is coming from, though. At the end of the day.
Yeah, I can see what he means.
Yeah, especially that whole like separate base Naruto. Oh, it's like not Naruto, Obito, and his Jinchuriki form. Because yeah, like, thinking back to it, it does sound like they kind of combined the two for the explanation. Like the whole comedy thing.
This is coming from someone who thinks that death before the whole death before super argument is bullshit. Like I don't like that argument at all, but I'm just saying a comparison would have been nice if you're gonna mention Kamui. I know they had the whole thing about Kamui's intangibility not working in his Jinchuriki form in a tab, but again, I wish you had said that, or at the very least you would have made a comparison to base form Obito to kind of prove like why Kamui is so important. Because as it stands, they don't. So that's all I'm saying.
I agree to disagree with certain aspects, but there are some bits I do kind of agree with you. Like, I feel as though, especially if you go by, like I mentioned, Obi-Wan versus Kakashi, like, yeah, they went into so much detail about that, whereas this one, they did not go into as much detail with their explanation. Like, they just expected you, if you know these two characters, we don't need to explain every little detail. Just, it's kind of awkward when it comes to deciding what do you mention in the outcome analysis, like, hey, what should be the big highlight? And I think their main point was the calm way. So, I guess it's a bit awkward. It's a bit awkward, but
Also, they probably could have explained the what's that move? The whole like flower off the moon mind control thing.
Tsukuyomi.
Yeah, that.
Tsukuyomi.
Yeah, maybe explain the Tsukuyomi also works on people who can resist mental attacks. Like, was that in a tab?
See that one? See that one? I let go because I know that they said like the idea behind that was that Vader could have broken out. He just chose not to because, well,
right.
Padme's right there. Why would I?
yeah, it's a real mindfuck.
I think Vader knew that it was an illusion, but he also didn't care.
Yeah, that's not even like a bullshit sort of death battle outcome. No, that's actually what that ability would do to you. It kind of gives you that illusion, like, do you want to leave? But, we've gone on for 3 hours, so have you said your piece on that, Brobuscus?
Mm-hmm.
Right then, so
Yeah, I'm good.
So we had a lot to talk about with this, and I didn't think we'd actually go on for as much on it as I thought I would. I thought this would be like a good old half an hour, but... And the thing that people should also take from this, you may notice not many of us agreed with each other. That's kind of the point.
Welcome to the internet. No one has the same opinion.
Well, my main actual point was actually going to be, mate, yeah, that's just kind of when it comes to these sort of death battles. Like, the whole point of us not agreeing with each other is that these are specific for us. But does that mean these episodes are objectively bad because we don't like these sort of things? Honestly, no. Like, despite my gripes with Dimitri versus Guts and Harley Quinn versus Jinx, I still probably have them in the top 5 for a lot of the seasons. I mean, I'm still waiting for the rest of the season to finish before I decide on it, but at the end of the day, and even these guys have their opinions on these things, and a lot of them I disagree with, a lot of them they disagree with me, and so forth. You shouldn't let an episode, like, if they have those conclusions you think they could have done better, ruin the episode for you. Because I think a lot of these episodes we still all like, well, maybe not Toph vs. Scara for Sean, but majority of these episodes we do like, don't we?
That's fair.
Yeah. Like, I was even talking about, like, the ending of Charizard v Greymon. That fight also has, like, way more, like, good in it.
Yeah, so I think it goes to show, what's that phrase called? Like, I'm probably butchering it, but I think it's something to do with, like, just because the ending is bad doesn't mean the journey towards it was wasted.
It's all about the journey, not the conclusion.
Yeah, that's
There
true.
we go.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess the journey for a lot of these episodes, like, we have our highlights, we have some positives. The only negative we can say is just the outcomes or how they're explained.
Right.
So, I'll be honest, it was actually a fun topic. I was just expecting it just to be one of those shot in the dark topics, like, we're not going to have a lot to say, but I was quite surprised you guys had a lot more to say than I did. I only really had 2 episodes I wanted to talk about. But, I guess this will leave us, what do you people think? Are there any conclusions to Death Fight you think should have explained better? Do you think some outcomes should have changed? And do you just think a death wasn't as good as you thought it would be? Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll give a shout out to Brobuscus. Not the whole cast, but Brobuscus. Thank you for joining us again. Do you have any final quotes before we do our outros?
I thought I had one, but nah.
That's your end quote. There it is. That's forever immortalized in this video now.
So as we're coming up to the outros, I'm going to cut mine short.
Alright then, well, that's a good segue. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw here, be sure to stick around. We'll have more videos for you in the future. But I guess it's time we also announce the next lads debate.
I have the trailer downloaded if you want me to post it here.
Nah, I'll save that for when we actually talk about the episode. But, so Brobuscus, you're also going to be the first one to hear about this.
Yeah,
So,
I'm interested.
it's our Halloween episode. And we said the theme was Stalkers. And in one of my reactions, I did, in fact, announce the franchises. So, we've been building up for quite a bit. And of course, I was delaying it because I'm trying to get the thumbnail. It is a stalker fight between Nemesis and Adam Taurus. Your early mate, or me versus your early mate. Yep, that is the episode.
It'll be a fun one.
That's freaking random.
Welcome to Lads Debate.
Well, just welcome to Bill's mind.
We're the same people who that wanted to do Dragonborn versus Dragonite.
Mate, you even pushed for this episode. So don't throw me under the bus. But yes, it's a stalker theme episode. I did want to originally go zombie, but I'm not sure these guys are as familiar with zombie topics like me. So yes, we're doing Nemesis from Resident Evil versus Adam Taurus from Ruby. And Brobuscus' reactions, what I hope most people's reactions are. So with all that said and
I
done...
will say,
Oh, go ahead, Sean.
it's gonna be. I will say this is gonna be fun.
It's-
Also, how hard Mate went for Aaron. Just imagine how he does with Ruby in general.
I'll be honest, I'm just going to be surprised when people see this fight announced. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to stick around for more content in the future. Your early mate.
Well, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to Billy, click the links, and subscribe to everyone here, you filthy monkeys.
Mate, let's calm down with the racism. We don't want to be cancelled. And Shawnee.
Thank you, folks, for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave your thoughts down below on Cole versus Alex. Who do you got in Frieza versus Megatron? What did you think of our third topic? And of course, thank you to Brobuscus for joining us. With that being said, thank you folks for watching. I'll see you all later.
And now Brobuscus.
That's all we have to say. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk to you all in the next video.
By the way, do you want to stick around? We're about to watch Starscream versus Rainbow Dash.